Kino Mojo, man.
We're designed and meant to fast every day.
The lockdowns in Canada.
And who are those weirdos that are wearing masks in their car by themselves?
Episode 24, and Greg, for reference, and I could fix that if you need to. But yeah, we just kind of jump right into it.
Okay, shit.
So we're live.
Yeah.
We're live right now.
We do rolling starts.
We
here.
just do whatever, kind of clean, whatever.
Yeah, I respect that. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it's not clearly not high production, right? But this is super cool for me, and we were talking a little bit about this before, because this is almost like my teenage years. Obviously, I saw you on the internet. People keep telling us for the past 4 months, hey, I think it's mentioned like 3 or 4 times, like live on Twitter, because that's kind of where our personal brands live, is there. And it's like, yeah, you got to get Kino Buddy on. It'd be a great conversation, super quant, whatever. And Logan, I'll fix that in a sec. And now it's here, and it's kind of like the teenage years of me growing up. So I'd really love to hear from you and your perspective how this kind of happened, why you even chose to come on this podcast, because I know it was Logan like posted a story, and then a couple weeks later you're here. So what does that look like, and why'd you choose to come on our podcast when I don't think you go on a lot?
I actually don't go on that many podcasts. I did a podcast yesterday though. So basically about a couple months ago, I just made the decision where I actually want to kind of start jumping on podcasts more and doing that. I have a fun time doing it. So for many, many years, I literally just focused on just doing my own content, building my own business. And I didn't really do any podcasts. And then like the moment I'm actually down to hop on a podcast, I think you hit me up and I'm like, shit, I spent a lot of time in Miami. Let's do this. I respect the grind, respect the hustle. I checked out your stuff, looked good. So I'm like, you know what? Damn right. Let's do it. I'm doing a ton of like clips for YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. So hopefully we get some awesome moments.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm super excited I know Nick kind of like jumped right into the intro, right? We have obviously Greg O'Gallagher, Kino Body on episode 24. You know who he is. You've seen his stuff. But yeah, same thing for me. Like when I was 17, 18, really taking lifting seriously. I played football in college and a bunch of other sports in high school, whatever. But it's just seeing your stuff and being out there, and really cool kind of full circle moment.
And you've been hitting the Kino neck, I see.
Yeah, always.
Hitting the Kino neck?
Always. And yeah, then starting my own fitness business, just been a huge inspiration to me. And it's really cool now to have you on, obviously, and get to meet you and stuff like that. But my first question too, because Nick talked about like how it all started and you've been producing your own content. Like I did my research and I was going back, and there's videos of you like back in the day when you were, maybe even like 14, right? As young, how?
Yeah, I actually had a YouTube channel that I started when I was literally 14.
Yeah.
And I was like training hard. I was getting stronger, leaner, and I was like doing my fitness progression and doing some workout stuff. And at 14, I was very, very shy. And we didn't really know what YouTube was back then. We're talking about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, a long time ago. No one really knew what YouTube was.
It's pre-2010.
This was a long, pre-20, this is like 2007, 2008, literally 2007. I think I joined YouTube in 2006. I probably posted my first video either that year or 2007. Yeah. And so I was very young. 2006 was my first video. And I just remember like some of my videos were getting a lot of views, a lot of comments, and I didn't mind the attention when it was online, but as soon as like word got around my school and like people were pulling my videos up on YouTube, like on their computers in class, and they were all like digging it. They're like, yo, like this is sick. But I just was very shy back then. I'm like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. And I deleted my YouTube channel. And I had videos with hundreds of thousands of views. I had actually back then the subscriber thing was kind of different, I think. But I had a lot of views and I just deleted it all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Peer pressure factor. And I remember that a little bit myself.
It's funny. No, it wasn't even peer pressure. No one was talking shit. They were like loving it.
Uncomfortable.
I was just I didn't like that. Like I didn't mind the online attention. I didn't like the in-person attention. Yeah.
So that's really interesting. I think that a lot of what we do is content stuff, and it's kind of like what we do for work and whatever. But I think a lot of people get in, it's just uncomfortable to put stuff out there. And it's really cool to, feel like now we're really starting to document a lot, and it's really cool to be able to see someone who has 15 years of receipts of content out there. You know, when you started posting, you were just documenting your own journey. Did you have a vision in mind, or it was just like,
yeah, that's probably why I deleted it, because it wasn't like a huge vision I was striving for. I was just kind of having fun, putting videos out. I was training a lot. When I love something, I like to share it, right? So if I love intermittent fasting, you know, years ago, I want to like tell people about it. That's just my personality. So I was like loving my fitness. I wanted to kind of share it. I was actually very, very active on different fitness forums. So like I was very active on this one forum called Ross Training, which was like strength conditioning for kind of like martial artists, boxers, etc. And I was like really, really active on that forum, had a lot of authority actually as a poster. And then when I started sharing the workouts like and YouTube videos, and like people were really getting into it. So that's kind of what the motivation was. And it wasn't really, there was no vision. It was just kind of like me having fun. And then once I started ripping across like my school, I'm like, oh my God, no. And I deleted it all, which is, you would see me now and you'd be like, no way, that's not true. But I was actually very, very shy.
I had a similar experience because I dropped out of college, and then the first thing I was like, I got a job selling cars. But while I'm there,
High five on dropping out of college, man.
thanks, bro. You drop out too?
Of course.
What year?
I did year 1 and that was it.
I did 2 months, and that's it.
Okay, good for you. I almost did that. I stuck out, like I stuck in the full year, but
People talk so much shit.
Yeah.
What was your experience like?
Oh no, yeah, people are like, oh my God, like what a failure, making a colossal mistake. What are you thinking? Oh my God, you know.
The funniest was parents of my like good friends coming up to me and being like, you need to go take classes, like you're ruining your life and things like. I'm like, who are you to tell me
it's
this?
over?
It's just super weird, but
Right, yeah. Who are you? Who are you to tell me this?
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I had a similar experience because I drop out, I'm selling cars, and I'm like, first thing before I decide I'm going to do drop shipping, genius idea, right? Before I decide I'm going to do that, I'm like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And like, I was posting videos, and like people that were a little bit younger than me from my high school, like in the high school, I kind of like heard about it because I was a year removed from it, and they were starting to watch it and they liked it. But I was like, I don't like the fact that they're watching me, and it's kind of weird and stuff. So I just ended it real quick.
How many videos did you get up?
Probably like 4 or 5. I don't even know what I was doing.
Wow.
I was just like stupid, just little vlog business things. I was
Big
like,
content guy.
yeah.
I love it. So, Greg, when did it so you're posting these videos, you start to get some authority, and you're posting stuff that people obviously really resonate with. Like, when did it flip? When did, at what point in that,
It's a new channel.
you have 15 years of content progression. When did it flip like, I'm fucking Kino Body now?
So that was like the first sort of chapter that I kind of closed, and the attention I was getting then was very different than like what I was getting now. I wasn't really teaching fitness. I was kind of showing my progression, showing kind of some workouts, but like I wasn't like an authority, like, hey, I'm teaching fasting, I'm teaching X, Y, and Z. I took a step back from YouTube, posted a little bit when I was like 18 and stuff, but then at 19 was when I was really figuring out my brand and what I wanted to do. And I built my website at 19, started doing articles, and I didn't really do YouTube. YouTube eventually became sort of a support system for my blog at the time. Like I'd do articles on, Daniel Craig's workout for Skyfall, Ryan Gosling, Crazy Stupid Love, and I get all this attention. I'd talk about the movie star body, leaning down, fasting, and then I would just kind of incorporate YouTube to support my channel. And that was around very minimally 2011. It picked up 2012, 2013, and that's when like I started to slowly become Kino Body and like be like the intermittent fasting guy. And I just used YouTube as a tool. I wasn't really trying to go big and go off on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. And so was your goal when you were doing all these things, like what drove you in terms of like, obviously you built your business, right? But like, what was you mentioned you were shy. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people get into the fitness world and they have like, was it the intention to build a big business? Was it like an entrepreneurial angle? Was it like a self-development thing? Like what kind of drove you to like max out the fitness stuff and like really kind of like get shredded and do that stuff? What was your mindset?
Well, my passion for fitness was because I wanted to become stronger and prove myself. I love this idea that we can actually work out, eat right, gain muscle, lose fat, look better, be more athletic, be more powerful. As a young kid, I definitely like identified as being a bit smaller, You know, I kind of was in class, usually not the smallest kid, but I was kind of like not, I was definitely wasn't the biggest kid. And I wanted to have that power and that physicality. And that was the initial driver for fitness, to kind of feel like a superhero. But then my brand was really, I wanted to share what I was learning. I felt like I had so much value to give. I really felt like I was mastering my approach to fitness. Let's share it. And of course, secondly, I wanted to build a business. Of course, like I was dropping out of university. I wanted to build something awesome.
I love it. Do you have a question?
No, I was kind of gonna ask in the same realm of that. Like, I see, obviously, you're big in the fitness space and whatnot, and everyone talks about you, or when your brand's mentioned, it's fitness, it's stuff like that, but and fasting and whatnot. But it's not the business acumen. And me as a business owner, and Logan as a business owner, and being in the space of like all the biz ops and things like that, I have a lot of respect for that, and how that's developed and what you do and like the ads and stuff. So I'm curious how that developed, and like I would be very interested to understand your strategy for your business success and how it developed over time from 19 years old, and like you having, because we all have realizations as a new business owner. How did the realization start to come about? As you're like, oh, like, I need the YouTube now for the blog. It's going to support it, and maybe like the backlinks, and then needs to happen, and then I'm going to get this traffic from these forums, and then I'm going to run these ads here. Like, how did it start to develop? What was your mindset at that time? Were you trying to make a certain amount of money per month? Were you just trying to kind of live off your passion of fitness? What did that look like?
Yeah, my first goal really was I wanted to earn 6 figures a year.
Okay.
Profit. I want to do that within 4 years from when I dropped out of university. Like, my goal that was very clear in my mind was like, all right, everyone thinks it's going to be a failure. I'm going to be making 6 figures by the time all of my peers finish university.
That was exactly how I was like, I'm going to be 4 years ahead of them.
Yeah, exactly. So like, they're going to be looking for jobs, getting the same jobs they could have got with or without a degree. And I'm going to be making 6 figures with the business kind of running sort of on autopilot, where I'm like, I don't have a boss. I can run this anywhere in the world. I have that freedom. I'm doing what I love. So it wasn't just money. It was like doing what I love, having freedom, and sort of like breaking free of that matrix. That kind of, like I saw the matrix, man. When I was 19, I'm like, I don't see why everyone's so gung-ho about going to university for 4 years, doing more school, starting at an entry-level job, working up the corporate ladder. Maybe by 30, you're working all the time and making a somewhat good income. I just was like, that didn't incentivize me. I'm like, there's a much better path to achieve my goals. It's not for everyone, but definitely it was for me. So my initial thing that I had to do was I had to create like a really cool brand. I knew that the power wasn't in opening up a gym. I knew the power wasn't in personal training. I knew it was doing something online where you can reach unlimited amounts of people. So I had to create a brand and a unique fitness approach, which took some time to really hone in on. And secondly, I had to get eyeballs, and I had to kind of get people to really get really swept up, know me, like me, trust me, and actually start to get really good results from me. So what I did was I started to do a lot of research. What are people looking for? And what are people not finding? What has a very high amount of search? What are people searching, but very low competition? And that's when I really was like, well, this is perfect, because I'm going to teach people how to build a movie star body, and no one's doing articles on how to look like a movie star, on how to look like XYZ actor. And so I started to go off on those articles, and I got tons of attention. And then really, as I started to kind of teach my fitness lessons, there was a massive amount of I kind of started the snowball of intermittent fasting. There's a few different key players in the early days. And I started kind of, talk about it, and people were really, really, there was a very massive void. People were tired of having to be told that they have to eat every 2 to 3 hours to get lean, stoke the metabolism. They were done with like this crazy rigid fitness approach of eating 6 meals a day and not having a life. And I'm like, guys, like, you can actually get amazing results with fasting, with skipping breakfast. And that message people really loved. And so when I started doing fasting content, got tons and tons of views. The movie star angle got tons of views, and I started getting all this attention, and I wasn't really monetized for a while. And then I had a lot of people ask me like, damn, like, I love your content. I even did your free workout on your website. I'm seeing amazing results. You should create a program. I had many, many people say, you need to create a program before I even launched my first program. And then that was like the first thing I did. And, you know, I was really blown away. I'm like, holy shit. Like when you haven't made money online, it's a crazy feeling when you just see thousands of dollars coming in a day. It's kind of like, what the hell? It's like, it's one of the coolest feelings, you know, for sure.
100%.
And I saw all this, you know, money coming in. What I loved about my business was that like, I wasn't like trading an hour for a dollar amount, whether it's $50 an hour, 100, 500. I was putting in, you know, injecting energy into my business. And then like the business started to make more and more money. And so like I could take my hand off the business and the sales keep coming through. And that kind of business was really what I was interested in developing. And so it's very, very exciting. And then I was like, hey, well, what's the path to make more money? So I have a great program or 3 great programs. Now let me just kind of get more eyeballs. And I really found that like my website was getting action, but it was still kind of like plateaued a little bit. Like I was getting 100,000, 80,000 visits a month. Some months were better, but it just wasn't growing. At a certain point, it wasn't really growing month over month. And then I'm like, man, like this, I'm like, I can do a YouTube video, which takes 5 minutes. I'm getting all these different eyeballs. So I started doing more YouTube videos, teaching stuff, doing some vlogs. And at the very end, I just say, hey guys, if you want to learn how to transform your body, then, you know, take my physique quiz and that will determine, you know, what program line is best for you. And then
Quiz funnel.
the quiz funnel. And I was the first one really to do the quiz funnel, and it happened organically. I had many different programs, and everyone asked me, what program should I do? And I'm like, I was tired of answering the same email hundreds of times a day. So I just said, let me build a quiz funnel. And then that thing worked geniusly. And actually, like, you know, quite a few people after I did that kind of ripped it off exactly, which is fine. That's how the industry is. Like you got to see someone doing something well, let's try it. It's you can't complain about that. But that quiz funnel like really just crushed. And I went hard on YouTube. Then I created like the infamous Bruce Wayne ad.
Yep. I wrote a Twitter thread about that.
Did you?
Yeah, like 5 months ago.
Okay, shit.
Yeah, just like breaking down, like it was that in the Ty Lopez like car or here in my garage ad. Broke those two down in a Twitter thread, just like talking shop marketing. Like, you're a really, really good marketer, and it's interesting to hear. I think part of that too is, you know, people, especially in a lot of like our audience is probably younger, male audience. They want to like they want to build their own business that is paid on results and doing something that they're passionate about. But I think a lot of people want to skip that step of like really knowing their stuff. And like you mentioned like how it came organically. You just happened to like come up with the quiz funnel because people were asking you for your program because your stuff was so good. And I think people really want to skip that step of like really being fucking good at something.
And there was like, yeah, like you have to understand that like, you know, I was passionate about fitness since I was 13, 14 years old, started working out, reading programs, being active in workout forums at 14, really cracking the code. At, you know, 18, I really decided I want to be lean. I want that movie star look. That's how you separate from the pack, not just by getting bigger. And I tried everything to get lean for many years, and I failed. And I did different diets, different workout routines. I studied it all. I researched like some of the smartest guys, and I tried different things, and no one really created a very simple, enjoyable approach to actually get very lean. There was none of that. It was all freaking brutal. And I know it because I failed on everyone's program. I really did. I have a hard time being in a calorie deficit or cutting out carbs or X, Y, and Z. And then I really, like, no one really explained fitness the right way. If you want to get lean, the key is how do we make eating at a caloric deficit as enjoyable as possible? Okay. And obviously not going, you know, you can't go too extreme. If you look at fitness through that lens when the goal is fat loss, then all of a sudden you realize most rules people are teaching you are really unnecessary. And I started to really crack the code to getting lean, maintaining strength and muscle, building strength and muscle, the proportion. And for the first few years of doing my brand, I was just trying to solve fitness for myself and then share what worked. And I think, yeah, a lot of people that want to build a business, they haven't really solve their own problems. They haven't really, you know, they're just like, I want to build a business off the back of someone else. Or, you know, you're going to do a lot better when you actually like really solve a big problem for yourself. You create an approach, a strategy, and now you have something really to teach and to offer people.
So on that note, I have a very interesting, like, you've been doing this for at least 10 years. You've been selling something for what, 10 years plus years, right?
Yeah.
What do you kind of attribute that longevity to? Because, you know, there's other guys on YouTube, you know, that have come and gone. You know, Mike Chang, 6-pack shortcuts, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that way back in the day. come and gone, right? I think he got banned or whatever. But like, what do you attribute your? Because there's been tons of people doing similar things, but why are you still running at such a high pace compared to everybody else?
Well, I'd say like first, order of business. A lot of these guys in the fitness, they kind of change their approach every couple years, right?
Mm-hmm.
One moment they're the low carb person, and then they're the fasting, and then they're kind of jumping on different bandwagons, or even their own fitness approach. They can't even follow it that long. Like they can do it for a few months and they fall off. Whereas for me, like this stuff's in my blood. Like if anyone that hangs out with me, like shit, this guy's drinking sparkling water. He's waiting an hour and a half to have his coffee. He's hitting the octane. He's hitting the incline. Like I actually do everything I say. It's in my blood. It's what I do. And I think that like transfers over. That's one part of it. The second part of it is that the reality is that no one else in fitness is creating the transformations that I post every single week. Like we have the most insane transformations. It blows my mind. I never thought in a million years I would have such incredible transformations. People buy my programs, they join my coaching, and they just transform to movie star shape. It is nuts. So the results that we're getting are actually like freaking insane. I haven't seen anyone else in fitness ever post anything consistently and come close to what we're doing week in, week out. So like if you want to get like the best results and get lean, get that movie star look, do it training 3 days a week, eating great meals, like the approach is awesome. Like it solves a really, really big problem. You can actually look like a movie star, eat an enjoyable diet, fast every day, eat epic meals, be in the gym 3 days a week, and get like top tier results. So like there's a reason for like this fitness program is really, really taken off. And this is what I do. It's in my blood. I live it and breathe it every single day. One of my main camera guys, Mikey, he like shoots a lot of different people in fitness, and he's been, documentary filmmaker. He's like, I've never seen anyone actually be more consistent on camera, like month over month. Like no one, a lot of guys get in shape or then they're out of shape, but they can't shoot because they're over 10% body fat. And like, for me, it's like any day of the month, there's no water to like, I'm ready to go. I might not be completely in top shape every shoot, but I'm at least like, within striking distance, and like pretty much like I don't even put that pressure on myself where I have to get sharp for a shoot. I just show up, and my physique, it is what it is. I think most people don't really care to get absolutely massive or get to 5% body fat. They just kind of want to have like sort of that Daniel Craig, kind of look, lean, strong, chiseled, muscular. So I'd say it's like the product that we sell and what we teach gets amazing results, and it solves a really, really big problem.
I love it. I kind of want to jump into that because you're just like, going in on the results, and I've run a fitness business for a couple of years. Like I understand the dynamics of a lot of it. I want, like, if for someone listening, I would love to hear like what you think, is that approach, or if you could give a lot of people are probably familiar with you, right? But I would love to let you kind of concisely explain your approach and what that looks like and how you are able to get, the results you do from like a fitness ideology lens. You mentioned fasting,
right?
But because I saw your recent ads, right? The ones where you're like, who else in the game is doing this?
Right? Who else?
Yeah. And to me, it's really great because like not a lot of people can do 10 Nordics or like you ran a really pretty fast 40, right?
Pretty fast.
Yeah. Cause that's like a lot of what I've done in my fitness company is like working with people who want to like play sports and kind of like joint rehab almost, like how you can move well and like not be in pain and shit. That's kind of what I've done with my stuff, I think. But I would love to hear your approach. Like, what does it look like holistically for somebody who wants to be a fucking movie star athlete?
Yeah, so I mean, like the lens that I'm really like my fitness brand is built off of are really predominantly men that want to lose fat, gain muscle, look better. Like that's the main thing. They want to look better, right? So what does that actually entail, looking better? It really entails two things: a lower level of body fat and really the correct amount of muscle in the right proportion. So how do you achieve that? Well, low body fat just requires being in a calorie deficit, getting in sufficient protein to enable you to lean down and maintain muscle. So that's really the first lever, dialing in the correct calorie deficit for your body type. You can't go too big because then then you can sacrifice muscle tissue and you can't sustain it, and all of these cascading effects happen. You have to find like that perfect sweet spot calorie deficit. And then how do we structure that in the most enjoyable way? What I've found is that having to eat every 2 to 3 hours, breakfast first thing in the morning, it's counterproductive. We're designed and meant to fast every day. So wake up, skip breakfast, have some water, sparkling water, use black coffee to blunt your appetite, fast for the first 4 to 5 hours of the day, and then avoid eating a big meal until sort of dinner time. Because when you have a big meal at noon or 2 p.m., you kind of get tired after. I actually find it's very, very effective to kind of keep your calories a bit lower during the day. You're sharper, you're in that sympathetic nervous system mode. Like, it's not a coincidence that like I'm actually like pretty damn lazy, a lot lazier than people give me credit for. And when I started fasting at 19, I felt like I was Bradley Cooper in Limitless. I'm like, I'd have my coffee, I'd fast, until dinner time, I just want to work. I would just want to work. Whereas if I had breakfast that day, I kind of felt lazier. So like it really like gets you dialed in, not just for your physique, but for your business. And there's cool benefits of fasting. But so that's sort of the structure. You build up to a big feast that you get to look forward to. You get to eat a nice, enjoyable feast. Literally nobody enjoys food more than me. I freaking love food. I love going out for dinner. I love steak and potatoes. I love it all. I love dessert. So every day I get to have a big dinner and I get to have dessert every single day. And then I keep my calories a bit lower during the day. And that's how I can actually be in a deficit, because I never was able to stick to a calorie deficit with any other fitness approach I tried. I failed. It was very, very frustrating. I even had periods where I'd be binge eating and trying to get leaner and gaining weight, and my body fat was up. There's periods when I was on YouTube that I didn't like posting content because I wasn't confident in how I looked, and I wasn't like my body was built off a house of cards. When I first got lean at like 19, I couldn't sustain it. I got very, very lean. I still thought I had 5 more pounds to lose, which is kind of crazy because I was pretty damn lean. And then I just freaking lost it and started eating and didn't have any control. So it took me a very long time to really get it dialed in. But this eating approach I just kind of went through is sort of one layer. The second layer is we got to get you stronger. If you want to have a great body, you need to get strong. Okay. You need to get strong on shoulder presses, incline press, weighted chin-ups. You get strong on Romanian deadlifts, Bulgarian split squats, or whichever leg exercises you really want to do. But you must get strong on key movements that are going to give your physique an awesome look. And, you can add in some rest pause, work on lateral raises and get more rounded shoulders. You can do, rear delts. You can do other things like that. But the main key is you must get stronger. If you come to me and you're telling me you can't gain muscle and you're doing 45 pounds on dumbbell shoulder press, fuck off. Okay. You got to get stronger. That's the big thing I saw. Like, if people come to me at fitness, I'm like, I can't gain muscle. No wonder you can't gain muscle. You're lifting the same weight week in, week out. You must get stronger. It's rare you see someone complaining their shoulders are too small, lifting 100-pound dumbbells for 8 reps. I haven't seen it. And so, like, as a natural, what I find is like really the key to really build a great physique is it's progressive overload. You must get strong. I see guys that are on loads of gear that are in the gym 2 hours a day and don't really care about adding weight, but they're on loads of gear. It's a different game. As a natural, it's about getting stronger. And like, yeah, at a certain point, like, I'm 31. I'm obviously not going to add 20, 30 pounds to my lifts while staying at a certain body fat. I can have fun with it. I can play around with different things. But as you're building up to like your potential, it has to be about getting stronger. I have clients that are doing 120-pound weighted chin-ups. And when you build that strength, it's not just about looking better and building muscle. You become more powerful. You become more athletic. You become like, you become the superhero. You don't want to be the guy that's, even if you could get massive lifting light weights, do you really want to be the guy that's all show, no go, that looks big and puffy, and then all of a sudden shit goes down and you got no strength? You're just all show muscle. So I like the idea of having the look and having the physicality and the capability too.
Question on, I want to go back to the diet a little bit. Yeah. So obviously it's based on calories in, calories out, all that. But what about the quality of food that you're eating?
Right.
Something that I've, in the past, like, probably 3-4 years, become a lot more aware of, right? Like, not eating canola oil, not eating vegetable oil,
right?
Not eating that bullshit, and eating grass-fed, grass-finished beef. Like, all the flour and the breads in America aren't really good. They're enriched and stuff like that. So what's your philosophy on the quality of the food as well? Is that something that you take into consideration as well? Or is it just like a macro calories in, calories out lens?
Right. So if the lens is simply getting lean, then yes, it's the calorie deficit. It's yes, getting enough protein. That is what's really going to determine fat loss.
Yep.
So I mean, like, at one point there were people supplementing the idea that if you just eat healthy food, you just eat clean food, that you'll lose weight. And I mean, look, I mean, I tried it. You know, I can eat a lot, so it doesn't matter if it's healthy food or junk food. I can go easily over 3,000 calories. But yes, for maximizing health, for maximizing, you know, hormonal performance, then the quality of food matters. And if you can do both, like get the right amount of calories, correct amount of protein, balance of macronutrients, and high quality food, that's amazing. Now, I don't think that it's necessary to be 100% like stick to very rigid rules. I think that humans, we actually don't have that much willpower. The idea that people are going to go years and years and years and never, you know, have a bit of sugar, never kind of enjoy something, you know, is I've rarely ever seen it. I think the people that are the most rigid, oh, you can't eat this, those are the people that binge eat the most. I've never actually seen someone like be like hyper rigid and then stick to it. They go on this 30-day thing and they fall off. And so, people are deluding themselves that they can be absolutely perfect. Like I would say like the 80-20 rule is great. Like if you can, and again, like there's no reason to have vegetable oil. Like there's no reason for that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But like if you freaking love chocolate, then like, you know, I fit chocolate into my diet every day. But yes, I base my diet predominantly off of the foods I found work the best for me and that I find the most key is steak, eggs, potatoes, fruits,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of what I build my diet off of.
Some Van Leeuwen ice cream with some clean chocolate from Whole Foods.
Nice. That's the I gotta try that ice cream.
It's super
yeah.
good. It's like super clean. There's like 3 ingredients.
Ben Leuven's fire. I'm an ice cream maximalist. Like I think that it not only should be moderated, but I think ice cream is anabolic and you should eat it as a human.
Shit, man. I'll change tonight. Instead of doing chocolate or cookie, I'm gonna do ice cream.
Fact.
I'm inspired.
We're gonna go to Whole Foods after this to get ice cream.
Right on, right on. But yeah, the quality of food really, really does matter. But again, like as far as fat loss is concerned and retaining muscle, it's calories and protein, and then, you know, but then if you want to really feel your best, optimize, you know, testosterone, stuff like that, then, you know, you need to get the right quality.
I think it's important. Like when I was younger, didn't have much money. It was I'm just gonna buy whatever beef's at the store. I'm gonna buy whatever eggs are at the store. And now it's same thing, but same kind of diet, but it's the good beef and it's the good eggs and it's the pasture raised and then the grass fed, and I feel better from it.
For sure. No, great. The funny thing about health really is that like even in the fitness nutrition community, like we don't even have a clear consensus on what is the healthiest way to eat, right? Like
It's super funny.
It's like, I mean, I have my idea of what I think like people thrive the best on, but like you got people that are purely carnivore, you got vegans, you have like the paleo, you have X, Y, and low fat, and you still like, we can't really get a clear cut consensus on the healthiest way to eat. But you know what we do know is that being overweight is bad for your health. Eating too many calories is bad for your health. Being inactive is bad for your health. Getting nutrient deficiencies is bad for your health. So like at the very minimum, like get lean, get strong. Make sure like if you have excess body fat, you lose the weight, and then, you know, eat fruits, eat lean protein. And if someone wants to go lower in carb or higher in carb, you know, do that. Absolutely, vegetable oils is not the way to go.
Yep.
Use butter, coconut oil, olive oil. But there's a lot of like, you know, I have followers that, you know, transform my program that eat lots of meat, and that's like me. And I have people that done my program and did it with a vegan style, right? So, which, you know, if they want to do it that way, that's totally fine. But yeah, it is funny that we don't really have a clear-cut consensus on the healthiest way to eat.
I think it's really funny. You know, when I was younger and I first dropped out of college and I started personal training, I was working for Knees Over Toes Guy, right?
Yeah, no, he's a homie of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked for Ben when I was first starting in the fitness game. I was a personal trainer in his gym and did some classes and stuff like that. And now sitting here talking to you, and even just, you know, like some of the other people we've done podcasts with recently who are really big entrepreneurs, and hearing your experience, like building your business, building your body, like it's really funny, man. Like life is fucking simple, and most people just really don't execute the simplicities and really don't, you know, just they don't do these things on a long timeline with enough discipline and consistency and patience to see the results. Like, and to me, it's really interesting because you've done all these things. Like you solved the problem for yourself. You got shredded, right? Or you've
And
gone
stayed shredded.
and stayed shredded.
Or stayed very lean via DEXA scans for 10 years now, which very few people in fitness have done. Yeah.
Yeah, and roll through your blood work live, right? Like, so what do you think? I mean, I want to hear, you know, I think a lot of people want to stick to these things long term, you know what I mean? It's not like they like going in circles, or like even with building your business, you know, you've been at it for 15 years,
Consistency.
consistently growing. Like, in your mind, what were the biggest hurdles to like actually going and maintaining that, and how have you overcome it? And, you know,
I understand. And let me just say this first, because, you know, I think that this is really important to state. Bruce Lee was very, very smart. He had this really good quote. Simplicity is brilliance. And in fitness, in business, in any domain, what amateurs do is they overcomplicate everything. They try and throw in as many ingredients as possible. You got to do interval training 3 days a week, got to be in the weights 5 days a week, got to add this in and this in and this, and they throw so much in, and it breaks your body down, and you do not get the results. Same thing in business. We got to do X, we got to do all these different things and run in circles and balance plates in order to build the business. It's all wrong. What a actual professional does is he gets very down to the absolute core, okay? For us to achieve this goal, what must happen? You know, what is the one thing we must do? What is the 2 or 3 key levers we must do? They hack away at the inessential, which is from Bruce Lee, and get to the core. And that's really what I found to be the most effective for fitness. And when I see people following certain programs, I'm like, this is an amateur program. This is an amateur person made this. This is not necessary. You're already doing too much. And even knees over toes, he's a professional. He knows exactly this. You know, he would exactly agree. We've talked about this. He's very good at like getting down to the key stuff,
Yep.
and then getting results. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is you're trying to produce results, not just make someone feel like they're working so hard and, oh my God, I'm doing so much, it must work. No, it's like what people often find is like, this is it. This is all I need to do. It's almost like feels like too easy, but then you pour in maximum effort and focus on the tasks that you have. And that's when you get amazing results, not half-assing it for, you know, 4 hours a day in the gym or 2 hours a day in the gym. It's clear-cut focus. And that's what produces the results. So really, really important. Amateurs throw way too much at you. Professionals do less in any domain.
It's super funny because I think last night or the night before we were having this conversation about our business where we got a lot going on. You know, we changed our offer. It's a bit of a new offer now. Like we kind of rebuilt the entire back end and this and that. And we're like, how do we get more leads now? Like we're getting leads, we're getting calls booked, but how do we get more? And literally the answer that we settled on is just go back to the basics. We don't need any of these fancy things. We don't need to do this special, this or that. Offer something good and go back to the basics.
Yeah, if you talk to the guys that are crushing in business, the highest level, it's a lot simpler than people think.
Yep.
It really is, yeah.
when did your business transform? Like, you mentioned you were 19, you dropped out, you wanted to make 6 figures. How many years did it take to,
Yeah.
like, how long did it take to hit that, maybe?
Yeah, my first year, I made $10,000.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, this is legit. I had like barely any expenses, less than $1,000 in expenses for sure. And I was like pumped about that. And like, obviously the first couple months didn't make anything. And then it started to make money like the 3rd month. And by the end, I was maybe doing $2K a month or whatever. 2nd year, I made $30,000. 3rd year, I made $80,000. So it took me about 3 years to actually make like a legit full-time income.
You're like 21, right?
19, yeah, I was 21. By year 4, you know, as a 22-year-old, I was doing $200,000 a year, which is like, okay, like this is getting pretty damn good. Like, so much for this whole university thing, so much for being a failure here. 200 grand as a 22-year-old with no university degree, it's a lot of freaking money. And I didn't spend much of it. I kind of saved it. I kind of lived pretty chill. I wasn't flashy, didn't really spend much money. And then at 20, so then by year 4, so 10, 30, 80, 200, year 5 actually, I did like $1 million, and I was doing 100K months, and I was like, holy shit. That's when it kind of felt like, that's kind of feels like sort of like the escape velocity when like, especially back then, 100K a month, we're talking like whatever, 2015, it's a lot different than 100K a month now. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to spend 10K a month on a condo in Miami, back in 2015, I'd get 3 times the place as right now.
Yeah, you'd have a crazy crib back then.
Yeah, so 100K back then, I was like, holy, you know, it was nuts.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting too with that. You know, you had the awareness to like see that path. Like when I dropped out of college, it was starting to be like kind of cool. Now it's like fucking cool. Like dropping out of college isn't
Everyone
like
does it.
taboo. It's like everybody wants to do it so they can talk about it, and it's like a thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that in 2008
No.
or whatever. Is it like what do you think drove that? Because I feel like we talk about this a lot, Nick and I, either just with us or even on the podcast we do. Like a lot of this stuff is a certain level of awareness that I think people who go and do great things have. What do you think fostered that?
Like the kind of like, I mean, it's been very in vogue for the last quite a few years to really be an entrepreneur and to build an online brand and, you know, become a YouTuber, have a podcast, you know, have a online offer. So like, it's probably a combination of things, but like, you know, also in the last, you know, 5-6 years, there's been a lot of people like flexing on Instagram and I'll teach you how to make money. I'll teach you this and that. So like that kind of idea is being kind of bombarded at us. Whereas back in 2010, 2011, this wasn't on the forefront. You know, Instagram wasn't really a thing then. YouTube was still like the idea of being a YouTuber wasn't really a thing then. And like making money online was kind of like people didn't really, is that real? Does that actually happen? And like there were kind of like fringe places you could go to learn SEO and like if you kind of dug a level deeper, you saw stuff going down, but it wasn't in the public's eye like
100%.
anything.
When it was like 2017, 2018, it was still even like that. That's when I dropped out, and it was still it wasn't fully understood.
It was cooler back then, though. Like I kind of like, now it just feels like you know,
Everyone does
it's cliche, but back then it was kind of like you had to really want to break free in the matrix to find out where to go. Now it's kind of like it's all in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like my kind of feeling was that like life is so short and so precious. We only have one life. I have to do what I'm meant to do. And sitting in class for 4 years to get a piece of paper to appease some family members is not it. And like working up a corporate ladder and doing something where I'm just like, look, if I went down that path, I would have been no better than anyone else. I would have been accessing my superpower. And so I would have just been like, you know, okay, some regular employee doing all right. Like it was important for me to really understand what are my highest values, what are my gifts, and let's do something great. My father did incredible in real estate, started from scratch, did absolutely incredible. And I'm like, you know what? That's him. I don't know if I can be the best at real estate, but what I do know is I have this insane high value on fitness. I love the idea we can transform our body. I think I can actually do something amazing there. And I think everyone watching, you have to identify what are your highest values. You know, don't worry about passion as much as what do you actually care about? What are the big values in your life? When you identify those and you identify your superpower, if you put your energy in that direction, you're going to have a ton of fun. You're going to love what you do and the money's going to come. But if you have a low value on something and you're trying to force something, you're going to be let down. And so if you loved school and you love that path and that's in alignment with your highest values, then absolutely you should pursue that. But if it feels like this is not your priority, then you're going in the wrong direction. Absolutely. Your own body, your own like physiology is telling you it's not for you.
I got a lot of points we could talk about, but I think first thing is like the spiritual aspect of entrepreneurship. Sounds like you're very in tune with your spiritual side a little bit, like the God-given, you know, talents that you have. You tapped into it, right? You wanted to exercise those. What was like? Was there something spiritual about you dropping out of college and pursuing your thing? Is there something bigger there than just, hey, like, you know, I don't want to be in the corporate route, something like that. Is there something more there?
Definitely there is. It really was like sort of that, you know, realization that we only really have one life. Okay. And most people take that for granted. They don't understand this. They understand it consciously, but not deep down. And just most people, they're just waking up and they're doing a job they don't even like. Right.
Yeah.
They're living somewhere. They live in a city they don't even want to live in. Their whole life is just sort of apathy. It's settling. Oh, you know, maybe I had a little inclination of doing something cool, and then life kind of happened. Do. And I'm like, fuck that. It's my job to make my life freaking awesome. It's my job to like build a life that really excites me and become a person, you know, that excites me. And maybe there's something spiritual there, but that's the really realization that, damn, this life is short. You must, the chance of being born is what, 1 in some trillion or something.
Yeah.
So you owe it to, you owe it to that to actually make your life dope. And that was part of it. And also, like, when you really truly feel like you have a gift to share, and you truly feel like you genuinely can help people, and people look up to you, and you can, and on a small level, I helped my little brother get in shape. I helped my cousin lose 50 pounds. I helped my friends kind of work out and get inspired, and I
feels so good.
Yeah, no, I got so much fulfillment, like, by like seeing my brother start at no pull-ups and then do 1 and then 5, and this is when I was very, very young. I got so much fulfillment from that like, absolutely, there was a definitely a responsibility where, hey, if I have this freaking, and one of my gifts is I can put programs together that just transform people. I can craft it together and people just get stronger. They week in, week out. So I have a gift here. It's my job to actually share it with the world. And as opposed to ignore that, let me just do what, people expect of me. Then, the amount of people that have actually lost, that have transformed their body, were depressed. I've had people that were even, what they told me is they were suicidal, and they found my stuff, they got inspired, they worked out, and it completely changed their life. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that were stuck in life and unhappy and couldn't get a girlfriend. They transformed, and now they're living an incredible life. And if I didn't follow this path, I would have let down literally hundreds of thousands of people.
It's a really amazing perspective to hear, because I think there's a lot of people that are, hearing that, like, maybe will inspire them to share their gift a little bit.
It's actually, that's actually a very, very good point, because there are people that are like, oh, I have something, but I'm scared of putting myself out there. What do my friends think?
It's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, I'm scared. Oh, like, it's that almost becomes, and that's probably how I felt when I was younger and I first lead my channel, but I just didn't really see the potential of a vision. But if you have that vision, it's very, very, very selfish and very, very egotistical to be like, no, I can't put it out there, because you're worried about how people are going to perceive you. You're not thinking about, damn, this could positively impact someone.
You have the perspective that will get through to that person finally and change their life. I think it's a really interesting thing, man, that probably gets lost it does get lost in our society, or someone like you, right? Physique, cars, house, girls, money, like what people view as this, pinnacle of life almost. And really, you're sitting here telling us, like, being of service to other humans is the biggest fulfillment out of all that. You didn't mention any of the other things. It's being of service to people. And I think that the modern, especially in America, like, the attitude towards work is that it's like this obligation, this thing that's being, dampened upon you, versus the opportunity to go and help other people. It's just a really interesting thing to hear. You mentioned too, transformation, right? And helping all these other people transform and all that kind of stuff. I want to hear too, I'm curious if there is a deeper angle in terms of your own transformation. Like, was there a chip on the shoulder, or like a girlfriend breaking up with you, or like something like that led to some of your fitness passion, or anything like that, maybe?
Yeah, 1,000%, man. It was never a girl motivation for me. Interestingly enough, it was kind of feeling a little bit like not confident, maybe slightly bullied when I was younger. I wasn't born with just that, like, confidence like crazy. I actually felt very awkward and shy in social situations when I was very young. And I remember being very, very in my head. I felt very stifled. Like, I just had a hard time just kind of letting go and expressing myself. Like, if I was playing sports and playing video games, I could just kind of be free, but just showing up in, like, different situations, I was very, very awkward and shy. And I definitely had a few moments where I just kind of felt like, even my older brother, sometimes we would get in little fights and he would frickin', like, kick my ass, and that drove me insane. Like, having, like, when you get in an argument and then it escalates physically and you just get fucking destroyed, I would have so much freaking energy. I'd be doing push-ups, I'd be like watching, like, freaking kung fu movies. The idea of someone, like, being able to, and then not even brother, but just in other situations, like, the idea of someone being able to, like, physically, like, hurt me, like, pissed me off and it drove me to like get strong. I did not want that. And so like my initial passion for fitness was like that chip on the shoulder of like potentially being bullied. And obviously when you have two brothers, you're going to fight, it's going to happen. But like even that, I'm like, I had to become strong and powerful. It wasn't about women. It was just like, it was just not ever being, bullied. And when you start to work out, you start to gain muscle, you get this crazy confidence. You get this confidence. It's not even just like it's like what you really are getting is, damn, I set a goal and I showed up and I started doing like 10 push-ups. Now I'm doing 20 push-ups. Now I'm, getting my muscles getting bigger. And you start to understand that, hey, if I set a goal and I work towards it, I can achieve it. And that applies for fitness, but also applies for business and different areas. And you start to build this incredible self-belief. You wake up, you feel more confident. You're walking around mere mortals. You feel like a Greek god. You get off the plane. Everyone's trying to grab their luggage. You got the biggest luggage. You grab it. Like, it's like, why are so many people not taking advantage of this power that we can build? And so, yeah, that was really the driver for me.
It's almost like you have this, and I was super small in high school until about junior year when I started lifting. And it's almost like you have this belief in your head that you're this strong person and you're huge, you can fight anybody, right? But then in reality, the outer doesn't reflect that inner feeling. And when you start working out, you start lifting. And I remember junior year, senior year, when I actually put on like 20, 30, 40 pounds. During that time, I started to become a man. I started to grow up. That confidence started to come out. And you could pick up the luggage. And you did feel like a Greek god, right? And you're like a kid and you're just like realizing your full potential. And it's super cool. And it's just like we can all relate on that level. It's very interesting. We have very similar experiences throughout.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I'm not in my like best shape right now. I'm in good shape, whatever, like still, but not like at my pinnacle. But I think it's really interesting to, most guys I don't think have ever felt, because it's like a drug. It's almost like a high, when you're like really on your shit and you're working out all the time, you're getting sunshine, you're lean, like the feeling of just like, I almost think people become the personification of their hormones. And I think for men, like when you become the personification of testosterone and like healthy hormonal profiles, like it's like a drug. You feel amazing. I think a lot of guys walk around without the awareness, because once you feel it once, you know what that feels like. I think a lot of guys are walking around without the awareness of what it feels like to be fucking high T, running gun, fucking gunslinger, cowboy, just like, fuck, man, you're out there. And
Gunslinger, I like it, man.
I see you, kind of building on that point. I see you promoting the new Mojo stuff.
Yes.
And like talking about that. I think if we gave every fucking guy that's low T, just get them, maybe not TRT, because I don't think that's healthy long term, but like you could fix, that's the real pandemic, low
Trend.
T.
It is massive.
If you fix that, like the world's oasis overnight.
Give them what though?
Kino Mojo, man.
Oh, Kino Mojo.
I want you to talk about that and the hormones.
Well, so the crazy thing that we're really discovering right now is that males' testosterone levels have been dropping for the last 40 years, and there's no sign of it slowing down. So who knows what it's going to be like in 10, 20, 30 more years. And it's a very, very scary thing. As a man, when your testosterone levels get too low, you're fucked. You lose interest for sex, you have higher rates of anxiety and depression, you don't have that drive, people start passing you in life.
What do you think is causing the testosterone level to drop?
So, from what I've seen, there's many different factors. I mean, one is, if someone's inactive, not eating well, overweight, they're going to have lower testosterone naturally. But even controlling for that, there's a lot of endocrine disruptors, chemicals in our environment, a lot of estrogenics, plastics. There's even phthalates, which is a compound that is in scents, but it's also in foods now. There's all these different estrogens. There's also radiation. You got your iPhone really right next to your balls, emitting radiation like 8 hours a day. People have their laptop on their lap. The more time your phone is next to your balls, the lower your testosterone levels are. I have my phone in my pocket, but I'll put on airplane mode sometimes.
Every night, airplane mode.
I go in airplane mode. Even half the day, I just put on airplane mode, and if someone texts me, like I'll see it when I see it. But there's all these different factors. I think also like there's very strong interplay between your environment, your mindset, testosterone. When you're losing, when your masculinity, you're told your masculinity is wrong. You gotta basically like, destroy your own masculinity. You not feel like a man. This stuff's wrong. Like we're teaching people to kind of have low T essentially. And so even, like even just living life with more freedom is good. When you start winning in life, it's good. When you just when you're and also people are having lower levels of sleep, they're not sleeping as well. They got all this technology around them. They're getting inferior sleep. We're spending too much time indoors. We're not getting natural sunlight. We're sort of moving into this landscape that's not conducive for high levels of testosterone.
It's almost like like we used to have occasions for people to rise to. You're playing outside, like you're naturally going to be higher T, or you're fighting. It just has boys and stuff, and that doesn't exist as much anymore. And there's no occasion for people to rise to for their testosterone to be high.
No,
their testosterone isn't required to be high for them to live.
Yeah, that's why you must lift weights. Like lift weights, even 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Go to the gym, lift heavy. Give your body a reason to actually produce testosterone. We're not freaking going into combat. We're not fighting. We're showing up in an office job. Lift some freaking weights. Do a sprint. Do something every single week. But the most important thing I would say is get outside, get good sleep, lift weights, cut out the vegetable oils as much as you can, eat a higher quality diet, lose excess body fat, cut out the whole idea of putting on all this artificial soap and all these scented detergents where you're loading yourself with endocrine disruptors. Most people every day, 3 times a day, they're just trying to destroy their testosterone. Cut that stuff out. And then the Mojo, like I've had many people that actually got before and after blood work had awesome results, like 50-60% increases in their free testosterone, which is really what's most important. And the Mojo just has the 3 most important minerals to help support testosterone levels, and that's zinc, magnesium, boron, and really the really effective herb Tongkat Ali, another herb Forskolai, and that's it. Those 5 key ingredients, we've seen amazing results. So if you're gonna just put on all this crap and not take action, and the Mojo can only help so much, when you actually take the right steps and use Mojo, it's like a force multiplier.
Greg, let's talk about the Matrix a little bit. You mentioned you mentioned that a couple of times.
Yeah. I got to give credit where credit's due. Okay, I didn't coin the term the Matrix, but let's get into it.
Who did?
Tate.
Okay.
Tate coined it, man. You got to give credit where credit's due.
I think before I like ask that question on the Matrix, I think a really good one of our interview questions for people when they interview with us is, what do you think of Andrew Tate? Right. I think that response, right? Like if you have respect for him or if you don't, is a really good metric for somebody's mindset overall and their testosterone level overall. But I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on the Matrix. Yeah, and you mentioned the soap, we mentioned the vegetable oils, we mentioned the endocrine disruptors and stuff.
It's also funny. Tate and I actually chatted a lot a couple years ago.
Okay.
We were following each other on Instagram. We kind of exchanged. We were kind of shooting the shit.
It's super crazy because the space we're in on Twitter, they call it like money Twitter or whatever, business Twitter. He was one of like the big people in that like 3-4 years ago. And then he kind of blew up out of nowhere. So the people in our space kind of saw him come out of nowhere. And it's cool that you also knew who he was as well before this big kind of like blow up.
I actually I had a friend I knew, and he was like, yo, check out this guy Tate. This is a couple years ago. I go on his channel, and he's got this YouTube video talking about like body language, how like basically the Russian special forces or whatever, they were very stoic and they talk and they wouldn't move, which was a problem because if you're gonna freaking attack someone, they see it coming. So they learn to use their hands and talk. Yeah. And I'm like, this dude is like talking about like any moment, regular life, being ready for combat. I was like, that's freaking gangster. I like that. And the way he talked, I was like, this is like he's saying some freaking smart stuff. So I saw him very early before he became extremely controversial. And we chatted. We were supposed to kind of hang out and stuff like that. Didn't happen. And also like Canada was in lockdown for a while, but yeah. I got a good. On
that note, that's super cool. I think that's super cool. Kind of like worlds colliding, right? But What are your thoughts on quote the Matrix and these endocrine disruptors and the corporate system and whatnot? Do you believe there's like conspiracy there, etc.? Or like what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think that like the world we live in now is very different than, our parents' generation, for example. I mean, even going back 50 years, a man, or a single person could work and buy a home, get 2 cars, have 3 kids, support a family. It's not like you can't do that today.
Yeah.
Like maybe some places you can, but if you're in the big city, you're in Toronto, LA, Miami, it's like it's not a reality. Even people with pretty good jobs can barely like the idea of having 3 kids is like, both people have to work now and everyone's stressed and no one has like, yes, there are people that are making, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, millions of dollars a month, but that's such a tiny, tiny minority.
Right. And the traditional gender roles are kind of ruined because of that. Would you say?
Yeah. How do you mean?
Like both the female and the male working rather
Right.
than the man going to work and making the money for the family.
Yeah, I mean,
Can't
like,
support it.
when I like kind of partner or like, find a partner and stuff like that, like she's not going to be working. There's no reason for that.
Yeah.
I will handle, like, I will, work on the money. Like my mom stayed at home. And he kind of, and it was if my mom would have been working, it would have no benefit. Like you need, like, yeah. So but yeah, now I don't think most people can't do it. Like a guy that's making $150,000 a year in Toronto still needs more money coming in if he's going to have kids.
Yeah. Yeah, rent's what? 4K a month, 3K a month, whatever. If they're renting.
Yeah, and then taxes, like $150K a year is not $150K
yeah.
a year, and then
Yeah.
it was it $85,000, and that which is like
Nothing.
$7,000 a month, and then
Nothing in a big city.
sorry,
It's nothing in a big city.
it's nothing. Yeah.
So the lockdowns in Canada.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? I think I remember seeing a video of you. You're at like Bradley Martin's gym or something.
Yeah.
You guys like talked about it.
I don't think is anyone dumb enough that they're like, yeah, that was great. No one thinks it's good. Maybe in the moment they thought it was good. Retrospectively, you have to have extremely low IQ to be like, this was that was the right decision. No one thinks it's good. The challenge that I found was that like we tested it, right? We tested it for a few months. We tested it for a year, and our own government kept going back knowing it was complete dog shit. And it wasn't like, things don't exist in a vacuum, right? So you can't be like, okay, you know what? Potentially we got to get locked down to try and control things and all this. There is a cascading negative effects happen. Mental health issues, overdoses, depression, like violence in homes. The amount of negatives that happened were far worse than any potential benefit. The strain on the economy, businesses shut down. Money is required to support life. And then the government has to print tons and tons of money. The value of the money goes down. There's so many things that happen. The idea the government can tell you do not have the right to run your business. Now you got to pay these expenses. You got to pay for rent. You got to watch your freaking life savings go to zero. It is complete and absolute garbage. No one that's worth a grain of salt would tell you otherwise. You just can't. You can't look at the research and be like, yeah, this made a lot of sense. This was completely worth it. You have to be really, really stupid.
So basically, the whole China virus is a big scam.
I think it's really interesting hearing all these, like, us having this conversation and all the things we're talking about. Like,
You know what? The funniest part for me was like literally Toronto went to literally another lockdown just last January. Literally last January.
2022?
2022, literally just a year ago, and restaurants were shut down. People did not have the right to work, to earn an income, for their business, to support their families. Things were completely restricted. Gyms were closed. You couldn't even work out. Your whole life was restricted. And I came out to Florida, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? The restaurant, like, I was like, no, I'm like, Florida's doing it right. Like, people are happy, and like, if you watch the media, this is a challenge to the media. The media is not there to inform you. It's there to make you, to control you and to put you in fear and to get eyeballs. If you watch the media, you just think that there are people like lying down dead on the street everywhere you go, and you leave, everything's fine. So I have very little trust in the media. I don't even the tone. If you just put on the news channel, the tone of it actually lowers your vibration and it puts you in a fearful state. I don't even, if I hear the news on, I'm like, yo, turn that shit off.
Exactly. I don't watch the news at all. And seeing like even on Twitter, I mute all the news accounts because I don't want to see that.
I
stuff.
have
don't
like
care.
1,500 journalists blocked on Twitter.
Good.
I found a way to like auto ban all the journalists, so I'll occasionally see stuff and they're just gone. But I think it's really interesting, man. Like we're sitting here having this conversation, and it starts with, you know, health, and then like, you know, marketing and building your business, and then like we're shifting into like testosterone, and now the media, and like this kind of movement that really like Tate has built, like mainstreamed a lot of it, right? Like this idea that you have to like, you just can't survive on 150 grand if you want to have a family, and you have to like start thinking for yourself and being a person of sovereignty and agency. It's really interesting because I think a lot of it stems from the health stuff. Like the people, like you say that most people, you know, like no one could look back on it and say it was the right thing. Man, there's a lot of people that would look back on it and say it was the right thing because
They got to be fat and lazy.
because they're fucking loaded with estrogen and they just can't think. Like their brain is actually inflamed. And like
And the dopamine, when your dopamine levels get too low and you're not sensitive enough to dopamine, you are more easily controllable. Your dopamine levels are firing correctly, and this is also the problem with people that, you know, the too much time on social media, Netflix, instant gratification, people that are smoking weed every night, blunting their dopamine system. You just become someone that's very susceptible to being controlled. Whereas when you have control over your mind and your mind is firing correctly, it's much harder to program you. And this is the one thing I really want to say is that people, and we talked about eating healthy, right? We talked about eating healthy. People are very focused on what they put in their body, but people are not focused on what they put on in their mind. And they watch these different newses, and they have no like boundaries over what goes into their head. When I see different negative sources kind of coming in, it's all gonna affect you. And again, we're like the average, the 5 people closest to us. Well, yes, that's true for like friends and stuff, but also the information that's coming in, social media, news, etc., etc. We have to be very careful. Our environment is so important. And so when you start to like, you know, silence, different news channels, and just now all the inputs are very beneficial. Now all the inputs support your goals, support your mindset. That's when it's much easier to take control in your life. But most people every day, most of the inputs are actually making them weaker and more susceptible.
100%. Yeah. It's just like like this holistic. I just don't know how people, you know, go through life with any of this. Is like, I just don't know how guys go through life. Hopefully your notoriety, and, you know, we put a clickbait title on this and get as many people to watch this as possible. It's just like, if you're a guy, you have to do all of this shit. You have to. Like, it's either that or you just fucking submit and it's just done. Your life is just, you're gonna wallow in mediocrity and feel like shit forever. Like, and you have to.
You can't be apathetic. As a man, like sometimes anger can be a very powerful emotion to drive you forward, to give you energy. I remember like when I was first identified as kind of like being bullied and overpowered, that drive was to become very, very strong and powerful. And for people to sit down and be like, wow, my government locked me up for 2 years. 2 years. 2 or 3 years. I couldn't make money. I couldn't own a business. I couldn't visit my dying grandmother. They restricted all these freedoms, even when they knew this was not the right choice. How does that not make you angry? How can that happen and just be like, well, you know, they're doing their best, or oh, you didn't know better, or, you know, just my freedom. Like, fuck, that shit should piss you off.
100%.
It pissed me off massively. And, you know, some men just were like, you know, just, you know, it is what it is. Ha, ha, ha.
I think it really does. It ties into the health stuff.
Put your mask on, take it off, sit down in a restaurant, put it on, eat a bite of food. It's just like, yo, like, how dumb are we?
That is so ridiculous. Or people cutting holes in their masks to like eat and like drink. Makes no sense. It just makes no the logic flow isn't there.
And who are those weirdos that are wearing masks in their car by themselves, walking down the street outside, breathing in a mask when no one's around you? Breathe fresh air. Like, it's just
breathe air.
It shows you how fearful and how easily controlled and manipulated most people are.
And I think it's those pieces we talked about before, the endocrine disruptors, the shitty foods, right?
Get on the Mojo and finally get your balls back.
Maybe we'll get an affiliate link.
They're gonna ban the Kino Mojo. We can't have these guys on the Mojo. They're not gonna comply.
Yeah, facts, right? Like it's all these pieces I think add up, right? And then it's just men are estrogenic and they're not living up to their full potential, and they subconsciously know the fact that they're not living up to their full potential, and then they're just kind of drifting through life and meandering. And
Make me emperor, TRT in the water, mojo for everyone. Problem fucking solved. I have a kind of a tangent that I want to go on.
Okay.
We talked about we've covered a lot of ground
Yeah.
in this conversation, and you mentioned when I partner up, right? And so I'm curious, we see
I knew you were gonna say this. I just felt it coming.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did. I did.
when we see you. It was funny actually. I saw you posted on your story. There's a guy in our Twitter space. His name's Dennis Demore. He's like he's a copywriter, and he posted a picture of you on Twitter. And it was the picture of your lifestyle post on IG
Yep.
recently on the yacht with the girls. I'm curious about
Like
what.
70s kind of filter.
Yeah, it had some grain on it.
Yeah.
You look good. You look good, Greg.
Thank you.
I'm curious what is that something that you're looking for? Because it seems peripherally like there's a lot of models around all the time. I'm curious what I feel like we've opened up some things maybe people don't get to see a lot. It's normally just straight to business, get lean, get shredded.
I'll say this. I mean, like the idea of being single I'm 31. The idea of being single in my entire 30s and 40s and not having kids, obviously, that's not something I want. I definitely want to. I definitely think that like there's more fulfillment in life when you have someone that you love, that loves you, and you have experiences together. You create life together. I think like that's the most important thing. I'm not going for that right now, but like pretty soon. And that's kind of what that's like, I have some goals I want to tackle, but absolutely, like I do want to, like I am like at some point going to find the partner and kind of build life together, have kids. I think it's one of the best things you can do. I think when I hear people that don't want to have kids, I think that's silly. I think that's really, really crazy. I think actually that's another kind of sort of matrix indoctrination that's happening.
I tweeted this the other day. It started to go a little bit to like the normie sphere. It got like 700 likes. Like I don't know how many views it got. It got the decent amount of views, and I kept getting these quote tweets of like, this guy shouldn't have kids. And I said something like, it's a really big red flag, a man or a woman, and they tell me they don't want to have kids. I really start to question your beliefs, and I question whether I trust you or not when you say, I don't want to create life. It's almost like you're not worthy. You feel like you're not worthy of creating life if you say, I don't want to have kids.
And here's why you got to turn off the freaking news. If you talk to like a 20-year-old, they will tell you, I just don't want to bring a life into this messed up world. Shut the fuck up, okay? Really? Do you want me to send you back to freaking the 400s or 1,000 years ago? Turn off the news. It's not that freaking bad. And again, like if let's say, right now, if you were born, would you not want to be born because life's kind of tough? Like we have to go through tough aspects of life. It's what makes us human. And so like that is one of the dumbest things I keep hearing people say, oh, the world's messed up. Don't want to bring life into it.
It's the pussification of society.
It is. Yeah, it is. And again, it's one of the, again, we're human beings. We're wired for essentially two things, survive and replicate. And so half of your entire existence is to replicate. During certain years of your life. And so to not do that is kind of going against your own biology.
100%. You talk,
and life gets actually a lot boring. Like life actually gets pretty freaking boring.
Yeah.
If you're 45 doing the same stuff you did when you're 25, it gets freaking boring.
Oh, I just can't imagine.
Yeah, when you feel like you're living the same day over and over again, it gets very boring. But what does not get boring is that you have Christmas, whatever, you're 45, you're alone for Christmas, but when you get to re-experience something with your kid, that's what makes it 10 times more enjoyable. Watch your favorite movie again with your kid, share these different experiences, teach, you have a love for working out, martial arts, all that stuff makes life so much more exciting. So like continue life till you're 50, 60 and not have kids sounds extremely dull.
100%.
But people are losing fertility, so like, you gotta get your
A multitude of reasons, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to go into that.
Relax.
But there's something beautiful about having a big family. I think Tate talked about this before, and like his grandmother and all the grandchildren. There was like 30 of them in the room. It's a beautiful experience. So like my grandma died 5-6 months ago, right? But we're all in the room there to. It's almost like a beautiful moment because it's like a celebration of life to a degree because we're all there. There's 20 of us, and it's cousins and grandkids and kids and stuff like that, and the family is experiencing the moment together, and it's almost joyous because it's a celebration of the life that's been created.
And you know what's cool? Like, let's say you're 65 and you're kind of lazy. If your kids are kicking ass, you can sit back, do nothing, and be like, well, fuck, I'm getting shit done. My own kids are doing the work for it. Like, they're doing work, Whereas if you got nothing going on, you're going to feel unproductive.
Sun Army.
I got to build the Sun Army, like, dominating, and I can do nothing.
How many?
Well, my father had 5 kids. I actually think they wanted 6. So... I mean, for me, we'll see. I will, I have no problem having 6 kids.
Pop the mojo, run
we'll
up 10 real quick.
But my father had a funny quote. He was like, my goal, my goal was to become, and he started from starting with pretty much nothing. And he was like, my goal is to become a millionaire by XYZ, age. If I knew I was going to have five kids, I would have added a couple zeros. So like, if you're going to have a big family, like it's going to be expensive, But I think I have no problem having like 4. I feel like you gotta beat 3. You gotta get at least 4. 6 would be nuts.
I'm going for 10. Realistically.
10.
Realistically, 10.
I believe in you, bro. I do.
Like I want to say 50, but like it's a lot.
That's like a fun take to entertain.
Yeah, but like
we're getting a little
realistically, it's like 10.
Yeah, I think it's
With one woman or how many different women?
Probably one.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. That's a lot. If a woman's gonna have 10 kids, she has to start literally. The chance of having 10 kids and starting at like even 26 is very, very hard.
Yeah.
You'd have to start at like 20, 22.
I think it's really important that people, hear from people like you. Like all this stuff we're talking about, like all the stupid shit in the world and just like fucking clown world, upside down bullshit. Like I think it's really important that young guys hear someone like you, like kind of,
that's not in the Tate sphere and that type of thing, but like building a real business, a role model that they look up to.
It's like a Renaissance man. They got, they're doing these things, they're making money, like, good person to look up to who is promoting like the nuclear family. Cause what else do guys see, bro? Like fucking rappers and all this, it's just a bunch of bullshit. And I think it's really important that they see someone who has that external success. I think that's become a big message of our podcast. Actually, we've interviewed a lot of these kinds of people where they have these like external, success things that make people look up to them, that make them, notorious somewhat. And they've all kind of pushed that and having a family. It's kind of become a theme, I think, of the associates 100%. In general. But you mentioned too that you had some goals you wanted to hit first. So I would love to hear, like, for you, where you're at now, like, again, third party point of view, it seems like you kind of have it all, so to speak. Like you're doing great. You're doing all these things, fitness program, supplement company. Like what's your vision? Where do you go from here?
Right. Well, some goals are business related. Some goals definitely are, outside business related, personal XYZ. I do love like having my foot on the gas. Like I think like doing content around the testosterone angle, the mojo. We're seeing like I've helped thousands of people look like movie stars. That's still going on. But like this new thing is like helping guys really unlock higher free T, feel better. So that's kind of like the big focus with the Mojo brand and our blood flow supplement Nitro. So I'm gonna be building that, going harder on content and taking my company from pretty much where it is right now to like a very, very, very big level. That's definitely on my 2-year horizon. Travel a bit more. I've actually like wanted to go to Europe for the last few summers and I just kept working and didn't really do it. And then one of those summers wasn't really that feasible. But yeah, do a little more experiences, travel. I'm gonna check out a little some South America and
super interesting.
Yeah,
because we've been talking about going to Europe this summer and doing filming vlogs, stuff like that. Italy, Spain, whatever. Maybe we'll have to link up, party.
We're going to rip some fucking mojo with Greg and burn that shit down.
The south of France.
And he really loves Argentina.
Sick. I heard very good things about Argentina.
Yeah, I love Latin America a lot. Like
me too.
Brazil was great. I lived there for like 4 months.
And South America is largely untouched by a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely they have like, and you can see it, like the guys are more masculine than Western men. Like they fucking go to jiu-jitsu. They go to the street corner and get some picanha, and then there's like a fresh fruit stand, and it's like,
thus the women are more feminine.
And
in
you know what?
nature because of that.
It's funny. The last couple girlfriends I've had that I've been in love with, they were both like kind of Latin, Spanish. Yeah.
Latina respecters checking in.
Yeah, they were,
I feel you.
1,000%.
So I want to touch on the business goals a little bit. You're talking about building a big company. I'm curious what you define as big company. Is that 100 million? Is that something else? I'm sure that with your presence and what you're building, you have that potential, right? With the Mojo. I'm also curious how you think about content and how content's changed. Like it used to be YouTube, it used to be the website. Now I see your biggest platform's TikTok in terms of followers, but you haven't posted on there in a while.
Oh yeah. My biggest, I don't know, I don't place that much value on TikTok as a platform because, I did some Bob videos. I had some videos get like 20 million views many times, and like I just amassed a very fast following, but it's not like my most loyal fan base.
Yeah.
And I don't love the TikTok algorithm. Most people are just going through the For You page, not looking at who they're actually subscribed to. So you're kind of chasing new eyeballs all the time. You don't have that strong connection to your audience like you can do with maybe Twitter or Instagram or YouTube. So I think TikTok is just like, I don't care. I don't put any emphasis on it. But funny enough, yeah, I have my most amount of followers on TikTok. If I lost TikTok tomorrow, I wouldn't even lose any sleep over it. If I just forgot my password, couldn't get back in, I wouldn't even care.
They might ban it, so.
Yeah. But if I like Instagram, I know for a fact Instagram that my business would take a really big hit.
Instagram's always been my
And where do I get all my models now? I'm just
Craigslist.
I'm just kidding.
so
I don't know about that, bro. I know.
So on that note as well, how do you run your businesses? How do you manage them? I imagine you're pretty much removed. I imagine you have people in
Right.
place to manage the sales team, manage all these different things. I know you work with Brian from adspend.com, right?
Yeah, we did it we kind of just started. So yeah.
He's our good friend. He's been on the podcast, lives around the corner.
Nice,
Right? So that's kind of cool. I'm very curious how you manage your businesses in general, though. Like, what are you the visionary? Do you do anything in the business? Are you checking in with people? Are you on team call? Like, what does that look like?
I'm definitely on some team calls, and I definitely do content. It is very important to try and delegate a lot of stuff and really just focus on the highest lever tasks. That's like really the most important thing in business. Like, understand what are your highest values, what are you the best at, that you love doing. Focus on that. That's when your best work will come out, and delegate the rest. So really, it's content is a big part of it. I'm on meetings. There is vision. There is planning. But I have definitely a lot of stuff delegated. But I do have to, like, if you are like the owner of the company, you gotta kind of be making the big decisions. So
Can you like snap your fingers and something gets changed?
like pretty much, like I can, but you're on your phone a lot. You got to mess with stuff. You got stuff popping up, so you are on the phone a lot. But yeah, I don't do that much. I really don't. I do content. I make some decisions. I'm on a couple team calls. I have like a coaching program. We got hundreds of guys in that are transforming, and I'm on a couple calls every week with them. But I just make decisions, show up a little bit, and do content. And also, like, part of my business, part of my brand is actually like being aspirational, keeping myself in top shape, doing research, mastering my mindset, like becoming the person. Because if my life's falling apart, how am I supposed to do content,
Yep.
right? So there is a big emphasis on me, like, solving problems, getting better, training.
And that probably doesn't feel like work.
No, that's what I do anyway, right? So, but that is a big part of it. You got to keep your mind, because there was a point in my life where I was like, I'm not in my top place right now. I am not in a position to do content right now. How am I going to do content on this when I'm not even in the best state of mind myself? And so it's very, very important. I have to have integrity, and could be congruent. And that means, like, I must be at the top of my game. If I'm going to lead, I got to be at the top of my game. And so that's also a big part of, my business, is just kind of me being like at that certain level.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. I think you relate to that a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think like it's been interesting as we've I still have my fitness company, right? But like my primary focus is building like our marketing company, right? And so we're doing that, and it's just been interesting to have that like priority shift, because so long, like, and like I said, I'm still in good shape, still strong, still doing all this stuff, but like maybe just like a hair away from like the crazy, just like psycho training energy, whatever. And yeah, I think it's really interesting to not only just feel the difference, and you almost feel the efficacy of all of that stuff so much more when you have it, like, I don't know, for basically for the first time in my life where it's not like, oh, I get paid off of my body's performance, you know, because in high school or growing up it was all like sports, and then college it's sports, and then you know, drop out, become a personal trainer, whether in person or online, like basically getting paid off of your body. And then you like pull that around, and I really realized how important it was just to living and like mental clarity. Like you just don't, like, again, once you taste that, what it feels like to have that like just crazy swagger as a man because you're pushing yourself to your limits, and you feel the like visceral effects of being healthy and vital, it's really hard to like go back, if to just go any other way, you know. It's like a hard thing.
And if you push it to the limit, right? Like if you don't have your health right now and maybe you're 25, 30, where do you think you're going to be at 45, 55, 65? And once you lose your health, and it could happen sooner than you think, you do not know that. Like it could happen sooner than you think. Once you lose your health, nothing else matters. Okay? If you feel awful every day, if you're sick, if your health is falling apart, having $100 million in the bank is not going to help you. Right? It's not going to make you happy. If you've lost it, like life, so it's the most important fabric. It must be a top priority to be strong and healthy. And yes, when you're 25, 35, even 45, yes, you can feel like $1 million, but when you push it to the limit, you can maintain high quality of life and not be the guy that get, you know, and not end up, you know, sick or hurting or in pain or losing, you know, even like, you know, losing, you know, bone density and losing muscle mass. And to maintain high quality life and longevity, you need to have muscle.
100%. Yeah. I think it's interesting with that point, like,
And strength and longevity is correlated.
super correlated. Yeah. It's really interesting because I think the modern work culture is like, you know, like, you know, red line. And I do this sometimes, even like burning the midnight oil, or like, you know, you red line a little bit. It's like, fuck, especially as an entrepreneur too. Like if you're at a job, you know, like a lot of people wake up and they just like bang caffeine, and it's like, oh, another day. But like if you're an entrepreneur too, there's like a stress to that of like, oh, I want to get more done, you know, and you just realize like it never actually happens. But if you just prioritize your health and feeling really great, like you end up making way more money.
Yeah, and I'm a have your cake and eat it too kind of guy. I really do believe that the highest quality of work is going to require you to be in proper health and a lower, you know, and also be able to manage stress to some extent. If you're fragile, if like you're making money on a house of cards and it can come crashing down every time, that's not the best path. You need to get yourself healthy, strong, manage stress. There's certain things you can do to start to make money and produce while being healthy. But doing one and then, you know, hopefully maybe in 3 years, 4 years, you can find health. I don't see that happen. I think people that tell themselves, I'm going to just burn myself out and then I'm going to get healthy, they never do it. It never happens. You have to like do things concurrently.
100%.
I relate to that really like crazy, because I had like stomach issue, right? Like I wasn't eating the right foods, and that's what caused a big diet change for me. And it was causing bad acne, and it just I didn't feel good waking up every day, right? And it was affecting my work. And additionally, like I optimized for that, right, to fix that. And actually you fixed it by fasting, right? And changing the diet.
Awesome.
And I've really started to optimize for consistency, which is getting the sleep and eating the right foods, just so I feel good, so I can do this podcast and then jump on the phone, and then before this we were on Zoom, and then we're going to have a sales team meeting after this, and we're going to fix some of our messaging, and then we're going to go make this lead magnet. Like I will have the energy to do that because of the diet, because of the sleep, because I'm optimizing to just be consistent. I think you actually just get more done than doing those burnout sessions.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm curious, Greg, like what else, you know, you mentioned kind of what your work routines look like what else is in your lifestyle, what maybe goes on behind the scenes, what don't people know about you?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty simple. Like I wake up, I fast, I, you know, go out to fun awesome dinners, I do a little training, a little boxing. I love movies and like to watch movies and film. I like to, have good company and I'm definitely way happier here in Miami than like in most other cities, especially Toronto. Like I like being by the ocean, the water, and the sun. And so I don't have some like crazy like schedule where I'm going to this class and doing this. Like I'm actually pretty simple. So I don't need like too many things going on to be. I'm more of a type B personality. Like when people go on vacation and they got this freaking itinerary, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like I'm just gonna sleep in till 11. Maybe I'll go see a little sight thing. I just want to go chill. I like to be a little more chill. That's kind of more my style.
Reminds me of Soulbra so much.
Yeah.
Do you know
Who?
who Soulbra is?
Sounds really familiar.
You have to introduce him to
Soulbra. Soulbra.
They'd be best friends.
Yeah, they would. That's actually so true.
But I in terms of your lifestyle and stuff, I also noticed you have like some cars, right? Like
Yeah.
I love cars.
Okay, so
But like what are you driving? Why did you get it?
I just got the new 2023 Prius. It's fucking, dude. It's fucking nuts. No, I'm kidding. I have
Big energy efficient guy.
yeah, I have a Turbo S Cabriolet. It's really freaking
I
fast.
ordered
We're we're both Porsche guys, big
Por-
time.
I
Big Porsche,
ordered a
nice,
Turbo S last year or end of 2021. Didn't end up taking delivery of it. There was like some mix up on the
It's hard. The orders are like 2.5
I
years or
ordered
something.
it. It was good in like 6 months, but they wanted way more money down than was originally agreed upon. So I didn't end up getting it. But now I'm on the
Shit.
GT2 RS grind. I want the GT2
The
RS.
GT2 RS. Which one's that's the
700 horsepower. It's got the
Oh,
twin
shit.
turbo. It's like the GT3 RS, but it's got the
how much is that one?
it's only resale right now.
Okay.
Because it came out in 2018-19 on the 991.2, but it's I can spit car stuff all day, but it's probably like 400-ish resale.
Nice. Yeah, that's a pricey Porsche.
So you have the Turbo
I
S.
have a Turbo S and I have like a Urus.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
You don't flex them too much.
You haven't been watching my stories enough.
No, I've seen
a little
them.
bit. Not that much. Just a little bit. But honestly,
You're not a real Miami guy.
I'm not. Not a real. But yeah,
Greg,
Miami.
Greg's just out here in front of your-
For me, man, like the real enjoyment of cars is nothing more. You don't need a $300,000 car to do this. Nothing more for me than having like just a fun sports car top down. I love to be outside. Okay, and I know most car guys don't ever get convertibles because it doesn't look as cool. But I'm telling you, until like it's a nice day in the summer, here in the winter really, but when it's a nice day, the sun's out, you got music blasting, the top is down, the wind is hitting you, you'll never feel happier and more free. You don't have that feeling when you're covered up and you're in the car.
Fair. I like putting the sunroof open. I have an RS5.
Yeah.
And I super relate to that. It doesn't have to be a crazy car, whatever, but you just drive. You can go a little bit faster than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like cutting corners a little bit, weaving in. It's fun, and it's almost like having that physique. You're that same feeling of being able to like you're healthy. You're able to function really well every day. It's the same thing on the road, kind of. And
Nick,
something like
Nick drives like he's macro dosing the mojo.
No,
guy's-
frick,
this
I
guy's a
believe you.
maniac.
You can't do that in Toronto, bro. I get freaking. There's so many freaking cops, and the rules have gotten so.
I think they have cops here, but I never
They don't
never
give
get
it. They don't give a shit here. That's awesome. Yeah.
Exactly.
In Toronto, dude, like you can lose your license for a year, for life. Like the barrier is just nuts. I get fucking tickets all the time. Fucking
Canada's
this, red light cameras, speed cameras, got shit coming in all day.
Dude,
I got like it's you
Canada's
can't,
pretty
you
gay.
can't have fun in Canada with a fast car. You can't.
You're too high T for Canada. You need to leave.
My free T is too high. But I will say that I did I think one summer I ended up renting this freaking Rolls Royce for a summer. Dawn drop top fucking gangster. And you don't drive fast, but I just remember blasting tunes and the drop top. I pick up a girl, the door opens like this, and then you get to close the door for her, and you just rip her around. Nothing got more attention than this baby blue Dawn. when you hit it, you don't have that crazy speed, but it does have some cool pull, and blast some freaking inner bloom. Like, dude, that's kind of my vibe.
Rufus guy?
Well, I mean, I really loved inner bloom before it became like so freaking everyone's playing it. And if you're on Raya, that dating app kind of thing, every freaking chick's got freaking Rufus inner bloom on it. But I love that shit like 2019. But now it's a bit too overdone. But the Blaze is really good. But yeah, when you're in the dawn, roof down, like freaking music blasting, like it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. So
I love it. I wanted to ask you too. You mentioned movies. Like, I have a follow-up question too. But like, what kind of movies are we watching? What's in the cinema stack?
Well, I definitely feel like it's hard to find good movies these days. A lot of the money and creativity is actually going to TV shows. There's just much more right now. What is the commodity? It's attention. Mm-hmm. There's more attention in a TV series than in a film. So I don't see great films getting made that much anymore. But I just, as a younger adult, like I just love like, movies like Fight Club and, American Psycho and, Seven and all kinds of different films, Silver Linings Playbook, whatever. Like I loved movies. And movies were a big part of my childhood. Even watching like the Rocky movies with my dad and stuff, Terminator. So I'm not seeing as many good movies being made these days. And I don't love TV shows that much, simply because like you can put on a 2-hour movie, you put it on, it's 9 o'clock, it finishes at 11, and you can freaking chill. You put on a TV series, it's 1 hour, and then you got it. Then
it's an obligation.
Yeah. Then the next one, you can't turn it off. And so like, you think, oh, I'm just gonna watch a show. It's 45 minutes. It's not 45 minutes. It's very hard to like turn it off. But I mean, for TV shows, I really like Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's the freaking my favorite. Larry David, it's so good. That's a great show. And it doesn't like hook you for the next. When it hooks you for the next episode, it pisses me off. Yeah, Curb is the best show.
Understand. I'm not because I'm compulsive as fuck. If I'm gonna do something, I want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And so like TV shows, video games, I can't do it. I have an addictive personality, and I like my positive addictions versus my dopamine junkie.
I used to be able to play video games when I was like a teenager, and now it's just like I would sit down.
You don't see the point. You don't get swept up in it.
I can't do it. I want to just go build something, make something.
My last girlfriend and I think, you know what? Like I was like, fuck it. Let's buy this. What are the nerds playing? I want to see if I still have it. The nerds were playing Elden Ring. I'm like, yo, let's get this game. That shit was hard. I had my girlfriend at the time kind of like going on the websites trying to figure out shit for me, and I was playing. But that shit was pretty, I got it. It's somewhat into it. But it's like, when I was a teenager, I'd get fully immersed in the game, and like hours would go by. I wouldn't eat for a day. Like I would get like sucked into it. Now I kind of like can play it and put it down, kind of play it, put it down. But it's more fun. Like I always thought, like when I was younger, when I was like a teenager or even 15, I thought, yo, how cool would it be if I had a girlfriend that like, yo, fuck with the gaming, and like, some of the women today, they're getting into gaming, like, but you just kind of like play it, like it's just, it's kind of fun,
If you're watching this, Greg may still want an anime waifu.
You better play some video games, because if you're playing video games by yourself for 2 hours, you kind of feel like a loser. But if you're just like, instead of going out, you're like, yeah, let's hit this game together with a friend or a girlfriend, it's kind of fun. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
We were memeing that we were gonna buy Xboxes for all three of us and start playing Minecraft like a week ago. It was super funny.
I just like, as long as she's not like, if I meet a girl and she's actually better than me at video games, that's gonna piss me off. I'm too competitive. That would drive me crazy. I'm like, you know what? You're perfect. You're beautiful. You're sweet, but just too good at Call of Duty. I just can't do it.
I love Greg. Greg, you're one of my favorite people I've ever met.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
I love it.
I thought it was really funny too that you mentioned Fight Club, or not Fight Club, American Psycho, because like I said, I did my research a little bit. Like I've seen your stuff, so I wanted to like find a deeper angle than just like, what's presented out there, and seeing like 15-year-old Greg reciting the Patrick Bateman intro on YouTube. So funny.
Shit. Oh my God. Yeah. I got some fucking. Yeah.
You mentioned forums as well. Were you in like bodybuilding.com era?
That on the MISC?
I think I know when I first started my brand that my name was popping in there a lot because they were trashing on me because I was very, very going against the grain. Bodybuilding is cheesy. Getting that massive looks cheesy. And I was kind of going like, you don't need to go so crazy on squats and deadlifts. I was going very much against the grain. So they were tearing me up in the forum, but it was actually kind of a strategy because I'm like, I'm getting free publicity. I'm getting attention. And someone is going to look at this and just check me out and be like, and actually read what I had to say and actually be like, fuck, this actually makes sense. It's actually kind of cool. Oh shit, he knows what he's talking about. Okay, he's doing things differently. So actually like bodybuilding, a lot of times hate can be very, very valuable if you know how to like really famoose the goose. If you get reactive and if you like get defensive, you lose your power. But if you own it, right? I've made a lot of money from hate over the years, but if you just own it and you just stand strong and you don't enter their frame, you hold your frame. No, my shit's freaking awesome. We're getting the best results, and you just freaking lean into it, then people just fall into place.
I love it. It's the Trump playbook.
So true.
Agree and
The
amplify.
Trump playbook, yeah.
Agree and amplify. I'll never apologize. I love it.
1000%.
It's really interesting to me too because like I told you earlier in the pod, I wrote like a Twitter thread about you and your ads and like the Bruce Wayne, the Bruce Wayne ad, and I love hearing these things from peripheral. Again, like people probably just look at you and they think, oh, like fitness guy, super lean, whatever. But like you're a really good marketer. And I love hearing like the inner workings of what shapes that. Cause I want to be a really good marketer and keep becoming a better marketer. And I'm curious, like,
yeah, it's three things really. One is you really have to stand out. You got to differentiate yourself. If you're doing the same thing as everyone else, you're not going to really get attention. And secondly, and I understood this very, very early. It's that you don't want everyone to like you. You really don't want that, okay? You want to actually, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. You want to piss some people off. You want to be a little bit abrasive. Because if everyone likes you, no one talks about you. If you can, and again, like the Bruce Wayne kind of video I did was very, very intentional. I had the big drone shot into the mansion. I had the Lamborghini. It was polarizing. And that was very, very intentional. If I was like, what, maybe this is showing too much, maybe I'll just, drive a BMW. And this was before people were really flexing with Lambos, maybe I shouldn't show this, It's like that you want it. Most people can't handle that much attention, that much negative attention. They can't handle it. Their testosterone levels, their free T is too low. They crumble. When your free T is on the mojo, you can handle it. You love it. You live for it. I'm like waking up. I'm like, I need more hate. Where's this hate? It's pissing me off. So you actually want to, and this is why, like, because people are so like curtailed, they don't want to say the wrong thing. They're walking on eggshells and they're trying, want to fit in. If you're someone that doesn't care and it's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to kind of hold true to my values. I'm going to say it how it is. Then just doing that, you get attention. So you have to stand out. You got to create like a really unique reason for someone to follow you. Secondly, you got to lean into whatever that is you're doing. You got to own it. You got to piss people off. You got to pull people in. You can't just have everyone like you because then no one's going to buy from you. No one's going to love you. No one's going to fight for you. Those are really two of the key things. And third, you got to care. You got to care about your audiences. You got to care about your followers. You got to pay attention. You got to see, why are they buying from you? What do they love from you? And the more you care for your audience, the followers, and the more time you invest with them. In the beginning, when you're small, you can invest a lot of time. I emailed people that never bought from me that were following my free blog articles. I emailed them for hours a day. And now my attention's sort of siphoned between like the highest paying customers get the most of my attention and so on and so forth. But you have to care about your audience and your customers. And if you do those three, you identify what makes you different. You lean into it. You're not scared to break a few omelets. You don't care about pissing people off. You're going to offend people. That's going to get you attention. And you just genuinely care for your loyal audience. You will do fine.
That's really great. It's so funny having this conversation. Like we were talking a ton about like,
and most people do not care about their audience. They really freaking don't.
Yeah, that's true.
They really don't.
That's true. That's super true. And we were talking about it, like all of these things we're kind of talking about, especially the first two. We were talking about like the last podcast we did with one of the guys I used to work for, like really done a lot of online sales.
Jared Getz.
Jared Getz. Yeah, he's great. And he was like, you guys need to disrupt more. And we started talking about it, like, what is our mechanism? Like what really separates us? And we've been talking about this all week. And then the second thing, and I have a question about this too, because we've had this conversation, is like the polarity. It does get attention. It does work. And I don't think either of us are scared of it, right? It's not like we're walking on eggshells or super care.
I'm
But
willing to go more scorched earth than you, I think.
I'm curious Greg's take, because it, like, you know, my thing too is there's a lot of people who do this now, and they're very polarizing, and it's like intentional, especially post take. People saw that and were like, "Fuck, I can just." And
It's not them.
they're not as eloquent as he is, and like, and it's not them, and they're doing this. They're like putting on this show, and my thing is like, how do you? I don't know. To me, there's like a balance of like doing that, but also like genuinely being humble and like not just being crazy, or maybe not
Being
humble is the-
grateful.
yeah, like, you know, just not being a fucking dickhead to push stuff. I think it's an interesting balance of, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand what you're saying. I think that like it has to be real. So don't force something just to be abrasive just for the sake of being abrasive. Like find out what really you care about and then just lean into it a little bit more. And maybe there's something that you're saying that's kind of going against the grain. Well, instead of keeping it in the back end, fucking lead with it, you know? But again, if it's real and it's how you, and it's actually your beliefs, then play it up a little bit, you know, play it up a little bit. But, you know, I remember when I started, what helped me get a following was completely going against the grain. Everyone's telling you to eat every few hours. I'm saying bullshit. I'm not saying, yeah, you can eat every few hours too, and this is kind of how I like to do it, and, you know, I prefer to fast. I'm saying I wake up, I don't eat for freaking 8 hours, or I don't eat for 5 hours. I'm fasting. This does X, Y, and Z. If you're working with me, if you're one of my clients, you're following my system, which means we're fasting, okay? If you want to eat, you know, do patty cake and eat breakfast and food every 2 to 3 hours, go somewhere else. You must own your system. And the idea, and as a not even as a marketer, because there's a term marketer, but as a leader, if you want to inspire people and you want people, and the people that buy my program, they take action, they transform. There's other workout programs people buy and they lily-dag and they don't actually do it. When people follow my advice, they take action. They watch a video, they start doing rest pause, they start doing reverse, they start doing 3-day lifts a week. If you want to actually lead people and transform people, you have to talk with absolute conviction. And you can't lily-dag, you can't be in the middle and maybe this, maybe that, you know. Like, yes, there's nuances in the actual, you know, but when you're teaching stuff, you want to have strong conviction and give people the steps to follow. Boom. And here's why we're not doing this. And then, yes, you can get more, you know, you can get more granular and longer form content, explain like the why. But on the front end, people are looking, when someone wants to transform and they want to build a business, they want to make money, they want to get in shape, they want to meet a girlfriend, they're looking for freaking steps. They're looking for a system. They're looking for something to believe in. They're not looking for, you know, maybe this, maybe that, boom, boom. They want to like, tell me what to do. And how do I know this? Because this is how I want to learn. I want a freaking system to follow. Boom, boom, boom. This is how we take action. Not some like, you know, maybe this, maybe that. Oh, this is cool too. This is cool too. No one's paying attention to you at all.
Spitting bars. We're just sitting.
I think what I took out of that is just an absolute belief in yourself and an absolute belief in what you do that's going to get results, right? Like, just like believe it, and then not forcing it, but just telling your audience over and over, like pushing it out so much to this is the thing. You have to do this if you want the result. This is the thing. And really just through belief, getting them the results and getting them in the program.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. When I started, I had some private coaching clients when I was 21 years old, and, you know, I'd kind of give them the plan, and it wasn't until we jumped on the call and I explained exactly how they're going to get transformed and how this is going to work, and they would say, holy shit, like I've hired coaches and trainers and all these people before and never got results. When I got on the call with you, I knew I was going to transform. Like, your ability to speak with conviction and also explain like the key steps and the logic, like is nuts. And so as a man, if you want to be a leader, you have to have that skill. You have to, when people listen, they have to have that belief. Holy shit, if I follow these steps, life is going to get very, very good. And when you own it, you live it, and then you can share it in such a way, people will take action. People will transform. It's no accident that we have so many transformations. And it's in part by how I write my programs, how I do my videos, how I do my content, how I create my programs. It's all very intentional. From watching video one, that's a YouTube video, from watching video of my program to reading, you know, X, Y, and Z. It's all designed to like literally, like when Neo in the Matrix, when he's sitting down in the chair, right? And he's like, I know Kung Fu. I'm literally downloading the key, not only just techniques and strategies, but beliefs into your brain so you can transform.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting like that. You know, we talked about simplicity, and I think a lot of times those beliefs instill more of it maybe than anything, and really like it's just a good reminder, and it's really refreshing to hear from someone in your position, like a little further along down the road than us. Yeah, it's just really refreshing to hear it.
Super cool.
Thank you. And one more thing I'll say is that this is also why I have this disdain for school and university, and I left school. The way I write my programs, the way I do my business is very, very intentional. And what happens is why I felt disenfranchised in school is because you show up to a class, you have a professor there, and if they just spent 10 minutes explaining very clearly, okay, guys, we're going to get into this calculus stuff now. Before I even teach you this, here's exactly why this is going to be very valuable for you, okay? Carl, what is it you want to be? This is how it's going to apply and benefit your life. If you learn this, you're going to get X, Y, Z benefit. If you don't have this knowledge, it's actually going to hold you back. And if they in school took 10 minutes to actually explain how learning this stuff would impact your life, not just to get a piece of degree or to get a high mark, but actually benefit and serve you, people will be so much more motivated. And that's like, the school system is largely broken because they do not know how to really, truly motivate a lot of people, men especially. And I find that so important. The very first thing I'm going to teach you, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is not teach you, it's going to explain the value and benefit of understanding this, the value and benefit of learning this. Humans and men, funny enough, when you have higher free T, higher free testosterone, you are more compelled by incentive. When you see a powerful incentive, you go into overdrive. When you look at school and you don't see an incentive, you shut down. You can either work at 10% or 100%. You can't just cruise at 70. And that's how I've always been. I either am all in or I'm half-assing it. I'm either the smartest person or I'm dumber than anyone. And in school, I just felt dumb. I'm like, there's no incentive. Why am I working hard? And so in my content, I give people the clear-cut incentive. Why do we get so many people to join the program? They understand, damn, if I separate from the pack and look like a movie star, my life's going to get freaking good. When I learn how to master fitness without it taking over my life, how powerful would that be? And I'm giving too much value now. I got to stop talking. I'm giving away all my shit.
No, I love it. It's like really. Like I said, it's really refreshing to just hear and it's a good reminder, I think, but to just hear from someone in your position and having done the things that you've done and are doing, just like a really good reminder. It's like exciting, even just like I want to go.
It's great energy.
I'm ready to go fucking throw some weight around. It's very inspiring, and you have a very, just like you got an energetic aura.
a great message.
Do you have any other questions?
I think before we wrap it up, anything that you want to kind of add to the podcast, to the message you've left here, to the associates of the associates?
I mean, I think we hit it all. I think you guys did an amazing job, bringing me to some really, really good, solid subjects. I think we came full circle. I feel like I don't know if there's anything else I need to say. I think we completely hit it. I have nothing else to say. That's it.
Speechless.
That's it.
Amazing.
All my 31 years old of experience is in here. Yeah.
Appreciate it a lot. And his links are all in the description.
Episode 24.
Maybe we'll talk to him about a Mojo affiliate or something. We mentioned
Very
it a lot.
cool. Very cool.
We actually had one of the guys we brought on. His name's Van Man, and he had this tooth powder. He's a friend of ours. And the video
to mineralize your teeth or something?
And the video went viral on TikTok. He did 30K in sales that day just from off the one video.
Holy shit.
So it was kind of crazy. But guys, all our links are in the description. Greg's links are in the description. This is episode 24. We will see you guys next time.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That was awesome. Yeah, no, all good, man.
Bro.